to this video about rhythmic displacement, which is really, it sounds complex, but it really isn't. Years ago, when I was kind of in the middle of my development, I was convinced that every rock player would improvise when he was soloing, or she was soloing. And I had that idea from jazz because I was studying a lot of different styles in the beginning, because I was just curious to know what was going on inside, you know, how do you play that style? And I got this idea from jazz that everyone is improvising. And so I thought that not only people within jazz music, but everywhere is just improvising when they play solos. So that was the level that I held myself to. And I felt ashamed if I had to tell people that, yeah, I just have to go home and practice the solo. That was just not a possibility for me. So I was really struggling when I was playing with people because I was just struggling to hit it right the first time. I got so frustrated at one point that I sat down and made a long list of possible exercises that I could do that would take me to this place. But I had no clue because I didn't know what would work and what wouldn't. So I just, you know, how can we separate the different challenges of this one challenge? So I was really on thin ice there. But I started testing out each and every one of these exercises. I gave them all the week. So I said, okay, I'll do this for a week and see how far I come. And if I have even small progress, I'll just keep doing it for a month. And I did that with all the exercises, and many of them just showed ineffective right away after a day or so. But a few of them, a handful of them, actually proved to be very, very effective. And one of these exercises is what I call rhythmic displacement. And it's really the ability to take anything you can play, as far as notes go, soloing, and then start and end it on different beats in the bar. So you take anything you play and then you can move it. Instead of starting on 1 in the bar, you can start it on 2 and you can still end it. Or you can start it on 4. Or you can start it on 1 and, so you hit the 8th notes or the 16th notes even. So I would just take a simple exercise and just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then just count that with the ands. And then play any little lick and start it on 1. Then I would start it on 1 and then 2 and so on. And so I'll go 1 and 2 and I'll just take these 2 notes, for instance, in the key of A. I'll play the A blues scale in the 5th fret. I would hit the note in the 5th fret on the G string, and then the note in the 7th fret on the D string. These 2 notes. And I've even included tabs, so you won't be confused about these 2 notes. So 5th fret G string and 7th fret D string. And I'll just play these 2 notes in this way. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I hope you get my what I'm doing here. I'm simply just playing these 2 notes on 1 end, on 2 and 2 end, and then each time the bar passes by, I start that little lick on a different beat in the bar. And that's all. And then when you improvise, what happens in your head is that you play something, right? You start your solo, so you begin some whatever. And then the next thing that happens in the brain is what's coming next. It's the exact same thing as with speaking. That's why it's called the syntax, because I looked at these exercises that was actually working. And I said, okay, what's the common denominator? We don't use that word right there, but what do they have in common, these exercises? And they all work with the syntax of what you're doing. And syntax is a word from language. I can say, the dog bit Johnny. That's the classic example. The dog bit Johnny. Johnny says, ow. Or I could say, Johnny bit the dog. And that's 2 very different scenarios, 2 very different little scenes there. But the only difference is syntax. It's the order in which the words are presented. And that makes a huge amount of difference. So when you start playing a little line on the guitar, then your brain asks, okay, what comes next? What's the next thing that comes here? What's the next thing in order? And if you have to construct that all the time by using theory or licks, or it's going to be a very conscious process, and you're not having much fun. The next thing it asks, if you know how to end that little line you played, is what's next? And the feeling of being able, you play your lines, but you don't know how to end them, you don't know how to start them, you don't really have to, And to do that, you have to connect your notes to the music, and you do that by practicing this little thing, this little rhythmic displacement, where you displace the same theme or little melody into different beats in the bar. And the result is that you are actually able to just play and play and play and play. And let me just demonstrate that for you, because now I'm just going to take these two notes and just play a couple of bars of soloing just with those two notes. So let's just start the jam track again. Now that's just two notes, but if you then take that ability, and the only reason why I can do this is because I've been practicing it over and over again, and if this is too fast for you, then by all means just sit down and count, or use a metronome. Have it go as slow as you can, or just find a metronome on the internet. The most important thing about that metronome is that you can hear when it hits 1. So you have to find an electronic metronome that can go so you know where 1 is, because that's a very huge help when you lose your place. So let me just do that again, but I'm going to use more notes, but it's the exact same thing I'm doing. I'm placing little lines different places in the bar. One. And that's also when you want to play a line and you want to hit that exact spot in the music, you need this, because you have to be able to go, if you're playing, so you want that ability to just go on, and we can stay a bit right here. We can use this little melody, push it around, displace it all we want, and then at the exact time I go out of it and into that. Hope you know what I mean here. It's hard to really explain the full amount of benefits you get from an exercise like this, but it really speaks for itself if you focus on it. But most people don't focus on it because it sounds boring. It's what I want to learn some fast stuff or some cool sounding stuff. I don't want to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. It's not fun. But I tell you, this is the work of the pros. This is sitting down and then making sure that the scales, the licks, everything over here is connected to the music that you're going to use it over. So do it all you can. The next level of exercise is to put on a jam track and then to begin the same kind of lick in different places. So, or just, you can play whatever you want, but you focus on, let's say, 1 and then you start every line there. So we're going 1 and start, 2. 1 and, new line. Every time you get to 1 and, you start over and you end it. You start over and end it before you get to 1 and again. Let me see if I can do that. So we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. So we get 1 and. That's totally wrong. 1. Let me see if I can do that. It's just the biggest failure ever. So, here we go. 1 and. 1 and. And then 1 and. Just do that again. On 1 and. Just stay up here so you can hear. 1 and. get my drift here. It was a terrible demonstration, but can't win every time. So that's what you do, and this is extremely hard if you're not used to relating to the music in the background. So have patience with yourself and know this thing, that the worse you are at this, the more impossible it seems to do this, the more you'll get out of actually learning it. And this is not some project that you have to work on for a year. If you really focus on this for just a week, you'll see amazing changes in the way you solo. Just put on a jam track and then you start, whoa, I'm doing it suddenly. You're doing it effortlessly. And that's what you want to get to. And that's when it becomes really, really fun to do this. This time that you've been spending listening to me right now will only become valuable to the degree to which you put it into action. Duh. We all know that, but right now is the time to say, okay, do I believe what he's saying? Do I believe it enough to actually test it and make a little plan and just spend 30 minutes practicing this every single day for the next 7 days, and then I'll judge. It's up to you. I hope you do. And I'll see you in another video. Thank you for watching.